What if you suddenly woke up in ancient Egypt? The towering pyramids rise against the sky, the golden sands stretch for miles, and the great Nile shimmers in the sun. At first, it feels like a dream. But as you take a closer look, you notice things that do not quite make sense. Women smear black powder around their eyes, believing it wards off evil. Doctors use rotten bread to treat infections. Some people even drink crocodile dung, thinking it will prevent pregnancy. Beneath the beauty of this ancient world lies a reality that is far stranger than you imagine. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the weirdest Egyptian customs, do not forget to like this video and subscribe for more shocking history facts. Egyptians took beauty and hygiene seriously, but some of their practices were dangerous. Both men and women wore thick black eyeliner called kohl, believing it protected them from evil spirits and the harsh sun. But kohl was made from lead, a toxic metal. Over time, it could cause serious health problems, including blindness and brain damage. Their methods of birth control were even stranger. Women used crocodile dung mixed with honey, inserting it as a barrier to prevent pregnancy. Some herbs in their mixtures may have helped, but the dung itself was not just ineffective, it was also full of bacteria. Despite these risks, Egyptians continued these traditions for centuries, unaware of the harm they caused. They believed beauty and health were gifts from the gods, and they were willing to do almost anything to protect them. In their world, even poison and filth were seen as tools for survival. Ancient Egyptians believed life continued after death, but the afterlife was not meant to be faced alone. In the early days of Egypt, when a pharaoh died, he was not the only one buried. Dozens of servants were killed and placed in his tomb, expected to serve him forever. These people were often young and healthy, their lives taken for the sake of tradition. Tombs were not just resting places, they were also heavily protected. Hidden traps, false doors, and deep pits were designed to stop grave robbers. Some tombs contained poison-coated blades or tunnels filled with deadly gas. Even if thieves avoided these dangers, they faced something worse: curses. Walls were covered in warnings, threatening sickness or death to anyone who disturbed the dead. Whether real or not, the fear of these curses kept many away. In Egypt, death was not just an end, it was an entire journey. Ancient Egyptian medicine was advanced for its time, but some treatments were unusual. To prevent infections, doctors used moldy bread on wounds. Strangely, this sometimes worked because mold can kill bacteria. But other treatments were less effective. Some healers mixed lizard blood, honey, and crushed animals into pastes, believing they had magical healing powers. Patients had no choice but to trust these strange remedies. Pregnancy tests were just as odd. A woman would urinate on wheat and barley seeds. If the seeds sprouted, she was considered pregnant. If barley grew first, the baby was believed to be a boy. If wheat grew, it was a girl. While this sounds strange, modern tests suggest it may have worked in some cases. The Egyptians did not fully understand science, but they observed patterns and trusted their methods. In their world, medicine was a mix of knowledge, superstition, and blind faith. Ancient Egyptian laws were strict, but they were not always fair. If a woman was caught cheating, her punishment was severe. She could be beaten, thrown out of her home, or publicly humiliated. In some cases, she was forced to stand naked in the streets while people insulted her. But if a man was unfaithful, it was often ignored. Society expected women to be loyal, while men had more freedom. Other crimes led to brutal punishments. Instead of execution, many criminals were mutilated. A thief might have his hand cut off to ensure he never stole again. Some had their noses or ears removed as a lifelong mark of shame. These punishments were meant to scare others into following the rules. In a world where order was everything, breaking the law was not just dangerous. It could change a person's life forever. Justice in Egypt was swift, but not always just. In ancient Egypt, family bonds were stronger than in most places, sometimes too strong. Pharaohs often married their own sisters to keep their royal bloodline pure. They believed this made them closer to the gods, but in reality, it led to serious health problems. Many royal children were born with birth defects, weak immune systems, or other genetic disorders. Still, the practice continued for generations. Everyday life was just as unusual. Young children did not wear clothes at all. The hot desert sun made fabric unnecessary, so they ran around naked until they grew older. Instead of clothing, they wore small amulets to protect them from evil spirits. These charms were believed to bring luck, health, and safety. As children reached adolescence, they started wearing simple linen garments, but for most of their early years, they lived without shame, untouched by the modern idea of modesty or embarrassment. Pharaoh Pepi II hated flies so much that he came up with a disturbing solution. He ordered his servants to cover their bodies in honey and stand near him. As they stood still, swarms of flies stuck to their skin, keeping them away from the pharaoh. While he stayed comfortable, his servants suffered constant bites and itching. To him, they were nothing more than human fly traps. Centuries later, mummies were not just left in tombs, they were eaten. People believed that grinding up mummies into powder created a powerful medicine. They thought it could cure illnesses, heal wounds, and even extend life. Wealthy Europeans bought this so-called mummy powder, never questioning where it came from. Some even mixed it into drinks. But in reality, they were consuming ancient corpses, sometimes thousands of years old. What was once a sacred body, carefully preserved for eternity, became nothing more than a strange and unsettling cure. In ancient Egypt, being left-handed was seen as a bad sign. The left side was linked to weakness, impurity, and even evil spirits. People who naturally used their left hand were often forced to switch. Children were taught to write, eat, and perform daily tasks with their right hand, no matter how uncomfortable it felt. Using the left hand in sacred rituals was strictly avoided, as it was believed to bring bad luck. Sleeping was not much more comfortable. Instead of soft pillows, Egyptians rested their heads on curved stone headrests. They believed this unusual design kept evil spirits from entering their bodies while they slept. The raised structure also allowed air to flow around the head, helping with the intense heat. For them, comfort was less important than spiritual protection. While these stone pillows may have helped with posture, they were hardly the kind of thing most people today would want to sleep on. Ancient Egypt was a land of greatness, but it was also filled with strange and shocking customs. From toxic makeup to disturbing medical treatments, their daily lives were nothing like ours today. Some of their traditions were rooted in faith, while others were simply the result of limited knowledge. Either way, they lived in a world that was as fascinating as it was bizarre. If you enjoyed uncovering these weird facts, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more surprising history. What was the strangest thing you learned today? Let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts.